Welcome to my sister's keeper show. This is my
So
story.
after service, I went home. My mom had visited me. She lived in North Carolina. She came to visit. So when I got home and I was like, Mom, I testified today, and the pastor said, I need to write a book, that I should be writing a book. Can you
This is
believe
my
that? And she was smiling the whole time I was telling her that. She was like looking at me and just smiling. And I'm looking at her like, what is wrong with this woman? Why is she smiling? So she kept on smiling and I kept on talking and talking and she's just smiling. And I'm like, okay, Mom, why are you smiling? And she said, because when you guys were at church and I was just here resting, I heard Sheila needs to write a book. And I heard it, I heard again, Sheila needs to write a book about her life. Or she said, there should be a book about my life, something like that. Um, so when she told me that, again, I looked at her like she was from Mars or Venus. I don't know. So I was just like, these people got issues. Okay. So time went on. I moved to Texas in 2017. I met this wonderful young lady, and we were talking and just having a conversation. Mind you, I didn't share, I just moved here. I don't know people like that, so I'm not sharing anything about my life. And then she kept on looking at me, and I'm thinking to myself, why is this chick looking at me? So, and then she was like, Sister Sheila, have you ever thought about writing a book about your life? And I'm just thinking like, what? And she said, I think you should write a book about your life. And I just looked at her and I just was like, okay, whatever. And she's like, no, but seriously. And then we kept talking and talking and talking. And then she comes back, she's like, Sister Sheila, I'm serious. You need to write a book about your life. And I was just like, oh my goodness, can you drop it? So time went on. And then there was somebody else that comes, and the sister that told me, Sister Sheila, you need to write a book about your life, came to me again. She was with me, we were talking and everything. I don't know why I did that voice, but she's actually a very smart young woman, beautiful and really nice. So I wasn't making fun of her by all means. So there was somebody that came, and the person was like, you need to write a book about your life. Again, I'm like, what is wrong with these people with a book about my life? And so as soon as he said that, she was like, I told her, see, Sister Sheila, I told you you need to write a book about your life. I've been telling her that. I'm like, okay, drop it. So time went on. Years later, someone else comes to me and was like, have you ever thought about writing a book about your life? And I'm thinking, if one more person comes to me about this, because the thing is, I love writing. English was my favorite subject in school because I just loved writing poetry, things like that. But there's something one day I will talk about, give my testimony when the Lord allows me to. Because right now the Lord has not allowed me to testify about that. But there's something that happened that caused me to not have that feeling to write any longer, poetry especially. So when people were telling me this, and I was like, oh, you guys need to drop it. I don't feel like doing that. And then so years later, this lady, a friend of mine that comes, was like, Sheila, you need to write a book about your life. And I was like, oh my gosh. She was like, what? I said, I think you're the third or fourth person that told me this. She was like, see, that means that you need to write a book about your life. And I'm like, ah. And so time passed, I changed the conversation. Time has passed, and she comes back. She was like, so, yeah, yeah, when are you writing a book about your life? When are you writing your book? That's what she said. Yaya means it's a word that is used in Congo, in DRC, signifying big sister, big brother, the oldest people, we call them Yaya for respect. And some people use that as a word of endearment, like you would say sweetheart and something. And she likes to call people yeah yeah a lot. So I just changed the conversation. Time passed and she's like, so yeah yeah, when are you writing your book? I'm like, will you stop asking me that? She kept on asking and asking. So one day I was like, you know what, okay fine, I guess I'm gonna start writing my book. And so I started having, writing, jotting down some ideas of what I'm gonna write about and how is it gonna be? Is it gonna be like a novel kind of thing? Is it gonna be like a testimony kind of thing? So I was, struggling with structure and all that stuff. And then, so one day I have a dream. It was a short dream, simple dream, the simplest dream I've ever had, the shortest dream I've ever had. In the Bible that says, when people ask, what's the shortest verse in the Bible? Everybody knew. No, Jesus cried. So my dream was Psalm 23. That's it, Psalm 23. And so I woke up and I'm like, Psalm 23. So I asked different men of God and I was like, what does it mean? Like, have you ever dreamt about a verse or a scripture or something? They're like, yeah, usually when you dream, like your dream is just that's all you see. It's your scripture that the Lord is giving you, your scripture, whether it be for that season of your life or for you to study, but go back to the Bible. I mean, I'm sorry, go back and pray about it and ask God to reveal that to you. So I was like, okay. And then I forgot about that for a while. And then one day I was just thinking about it. I'm like, it came back again. So I started studying. I read Psalm 23, like, I don't know how many times. I've read it before. It's a verse that everybody know by heart. So I knew it by heart, but I took it and started like reading it more and more and more and more, trying to say, how is it my scripture? So I started, and then I think at that moment, that's when I started feeling like I need to write. So I started writing without brainstorming anything, like what I've been jotting down and writing. I don't even know where I put it because I can't find it anymore. So I just took my computer and I just started typing like things and like chapters and things like that for my book. And then I get to a point where it was just silent, writer's block. So I couldn't think anymore. I couldn't add anything anymore because I'm like, I. So I was like, okay. I prayed and I started praying. I'm like, Lord, I want to finish my book. And at that time, that was the time when I wasn't working. And so I was like, and then I believe I had just finished school. So no work, no school. So I was like, this is a perfect time to finish my book. So nothing. It's like, okay. So when I started praying and I'm like, Lord, I want to finish my book. I don't know what to do. And I was just sitting there watching TV. And then my sister's keeper comes in mind. I was like, my sister's keeper? What's that? I was like, okay. Days later, my sister's keeper. I'm like, okay. Days later, my sister's keeper. I'm like, okay. So this keeps on coming in my head. My sister's keeper, my sister's keeper. I'm like, okay.